Long Beach? Come on, technology ain't so strong suit today.
It ain't working today.
Need that in 2024.
I will.
You know what I'm saying?
I will be. Mark?
Donovan, kind of a big picture question. Kenny was just here describing your leadership style in different ways as far as always being positive, nurturing, constructive, selflessness. Where did those qualities come from?
I think a few different things. I think, I came from New York City basketball. I make the joke where Ty's dad was our coach. Getting cussed out at 8, 9 years old. Then you play for Jason Smith at Brewster Academy, still getting screamed at. Pitino getting screamed at. And then realize when you get, and not to say it's a bad thing, I personally enjoy it, I prefer it. But then understanding when you get to the NBA, it's different. You got to be able, not everybody comes from that, so you have to be able to, and being on a veteran team in Utah, being able to speak to everybody differently, whether it's Joe, Rudy, Ricky. Ricky really helped me with that, being able to, just watching and being able to speak to me, and kind of be harder on me, but then, the next guy not necessarily as much. So finding ways how to speak to people, how to find a way to push buttons to allow guys to get guys going, and also being able to sit back and listen too, I think is a critical part. I think we hear leadership and think it's just like talking and, being demonstrative, but I think also being able to sit back and allowing things to kind of play out. And I think that's really where I learned it from, and understanding that, I know who I'm going to be on a day-to-day basis, but how do we get the most out of Evan, DG, JA, everybody on the roster. And that's kind of been my focal point, understanding that, I set the tone, whether it's on the floor, voice, and sometimes just being quiet, standing in the corner. So just trying to pick my spots, and as you get older, you start to really figure out, okay, how can I be the best leader on the floor?
Another win for your team. There's been a lot of them as we turn the calendar here. How good has 24 been for you? 8-game winning streak, best record in the league. How great has this year been?
It's been a really good year. Look at last year, we went on the streak in January, 22 or whatever it was. Obviously the playoffs, but also re-signing here, having peace of mind, being excited to be here. Obviously Kenny coming here, coming to camp, starting camp in Florida, having a great time with the guys. I mean, it helps when you start 15-0 too. I don't think that's too shabby. And then, just the way we've been playing, man, it's been great. I have no complaints. The biggest thing now is I'm always going to say, the challenge is, can we continue to be this team? It's great to ride this high and enjoy this and be excited and blessed that we've had this incredible start to the year, but how do we continue to be this team throughout the whole season? That's the challenge. But it's been a good year, and we look to continue it in 2025.
Chris?
Hey Donovan, second straight night you guys have just kind of flipped it in the second half. When those moments are happening for you, what do you see within the team? What do you sense?
Level of urgency, focus. I think we started out the third quarter okay. We got good looks, missed them, but then they got out in transition. My biggest challenge was to everybody was we kept making a run, but we kept allowing them. To their credit, they kept coming back and responding, and that's what good teams are going to do. And the biggest thing for us is how do we continue to respond back? How do we continue to do that? And we did that. And it wasn't just one person. It was DG, it was Max, it was JA, it was myself, it was Evan. It was whoever was out there. Last game it was myself starting off the third quarter. Some games it's kind of, just trying to figure in those things out, and that's the sign of a really good team and a team we want to be. But we're not always going to just start out the gate and just be up 20. As you know, so just trying to figure out, okay, how can we continue to plug, and then try to punch, and if we get punched back, punch again, and keep punching, and that's what you've saw the past 2 games.
You guys are now 29-4. You're one of 4 teams top 10 in offense and defense, second in point differential, second in net rating. As it goes to 2025, what do you feel like you guys still have to prove?
We haven't won. I tell you this all the time. This is great. We're playing great basketball. This is phenomenal. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean much. I think for us to end, when I say that, I mean the process of it means a lot. How we're winning these games, how we're playing is definitely means a lot. But what I mean is at the end of the day, it's April, May, and June. This is setting us up to have a really good April, May, and June, which is something to be excited about. But for us, keeping level-headed enjoying the process because it is a long season, and if you just allow it, it can definitely consume you in a negative way. So it's enjoying what we're doing, but also understanding that we could do all this and lose in the first round and it's forgotten. You know what I'm saying? So for us to continue to build and take it day by day, but also enjoying the process. This is fun. Like you see it, you see the locker room, you see the joy, but then also understanding that there's more to accomplish.
I have a two-parter. The first one is, what have you learned about yourself during this first stretch of the season, and what do you think are the main keys to you guys continuing the success through the playoffs and into the ultimate goal of winning a championship? And then also, where does the resiliency come in for you and your team to be able to? Wow, it's two parts.
No, you good. Yeah, I got you. I got you. When you say myself, you mean myself like Donovan or like the group?
Both as a group.
I think we've learned how selfless we truly are. I think we know we get along in the locker room. I think we all see that. You see it on the floor. You see us doing interviews together, vibing, having a great time. But I think you're starting to see how much we're willing to sacrifice for the next man, which truly doesn't go unnoticed. You know, a guy like Jared Allen, I'm talking about this all the time. There's games where he literally hasn't finished the fourth quarter, and he could easily sit here and pout or, be like, I deserve this, I deserve that. But for him to come in on a daily basis, no attitude, no ego, and then come out and do this against, a team like this, against a center like this, like that just speaks to level of mental fortitude, but also a care of wanting to, be here for us. Darius Garland didn't shoot it all that well tonight, but said, you know what, I'm going to find a way to impact the game. And those two single-handedly closed the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like that just speaks to our group. Max Strus comes in. Hasn't really shot it well since he's been back trying to figure it out. What does he do? He goes 5 of 9 tonight. Garden is behind off, and then also, spinning and making left-handed layups, which I've never seen, but I'm glad he made it. And then the second question was. That's good. Okay.
Donovan, coming from New York, you talked about the mentality and the toughness for the different coaches and things like that. Tino and all the other coaches you had. Can you talk about just how did it develop into a tough NBA player, and also just how did you learn how to communicate with different players, like based on different personalities and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, are you from New York? Is that what you asked that question? You just
No, I'm from Chicago.
Oh, okay. It's similar, out there, but I think it's similar out there. I think the biggest thing you learn at a young age is, I'm playing in front of crowds of, 200 doesn't sound like a lot, but 200 people at 9, 10, at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, you're understanding parents are screaming at you, cursing at you, like, and I personally love it. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Rucker Park, you look at Dykeman, tournaments like that, West Forward, all these different things. It's fun sport. Like, there's so many different tournaments that, I'm forever grateful for, because at the end of the day, like, look at this now. Like, these arenas don't necessarily, bother you. These moments don't bother you because at the end of the day, you've seen it. I've seen it, been around it. But like you said, it's a different mentality, different culture. Not everybody comes from that. So you have to, as you get into the league, understand, like, hey, this guy right here didn't come from that. You know what I mean? He doesn't understand that or this guy, and I'm not speaking about my teammates when I say this, but like you learn throughout the league, like, some guys, this is just a job. Some guys love this, some guys need this, some guys don't. Like, this. There's 450 basketball players, and can't say all 450 like love it the same way each one of us do. Everybody's different, and you have to figure out, as a leader, how do you find a way to get the best out of everybody around you. And it may not always be demonstrative. It may not always be screaming. It may just be like, hey, you mess up, keep going. You know what I mean? It's all right, keep going, move on to the next one. That type of positivity can get the most out of this guy. But this guy may be able to be like, hey, like, you're screwing up. Like, come on, lock in. You know what I mean? So, like, just being able to find that. But it took time, because I didn't come into the league that way. You know what I mean? Like, I think I credit, the guys that was around on my team to be able to teach me that and show me that.
Last one up front. Yeah. LeBron just turned 40 yesterday, and you grew up as a fan of his, and you were playing as Cavaliers. So since you were a rookie in Utah, you competed with him, and then you became a superstar. And we can learn from him mentality or physicality off the court or off the court.
You respect his availability, his resilience. You look at his career. He's done so much. There's so many things you can pick from, but the biggest thing to me, man, is he's always there. There's no matter what. He's 40 years old, still doing this. There's an ultimate respect there. He's a savant in the game. Cavs uniform, yes, it's full circle. You know what I mean? But I'm looking to replicate what he did, bring a championship to Cleveland. I think that's something that, you know, it's only been done once, you know, hopefully do it twice, but you look at a guy like that, what he's done in his career, what he's done for the city of Cleveland, it's inspiring for sure. It's inspiring what he's done for this game, and, you know, hopefully, you know, we go out there and get one of our own as well.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.